We are, given our commercial scale, particularly sensitive, I think, at this moment to some of the signals we're receiving from culture.
Well, I do get to Napa Valley an awful lot. Some people brought that up to me over the years in the podcast. I do that because there's an incredible group of winemakers that are always very welcoming when I come here, and I appreciate that. And today, I am at Ehlers Estate, and I'm here with Adam Casto, and Adam is the head winemaker here at Ehlers. Adam, how are you?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you. How are you?
Fantastic. It's beautiful out today.
It is.
How long have you been the winemaker here at Ehlers?
Going on my third year.
Wow. Man.
Third vintage. This will be my third harvest. So 2 years, going on 3 harvests.
Have you had a lot of rain?
We did. We had a fair amount of rain. I mean, it's been now a couple of weeks since we've had much, but we did have a fairly rainy winter. I think on average, in terms of relation to average, it was probably pretty close to average plus, but there's plenty of groundwater for sure.
Well, as I always like to do, I want to find out a little bit about your background, where you came from, and where your wine moments were. What made you decide to be completely insane and become a winemaker?
Yeah. My real interest in wine was formed by a gift of maps with 2 bottles. A family friend, when I was for my 19th birthday, gave me a bottle of Monte Rosso and a bottle of Barolo with accompanying maps of those areas. And the purpose of that was, other than appealing to my pretension, was really just my interest in maps in general. I have a not substantial, but an interest in antique map collecting. And
oh, neat.
Yeah, and I have since I was young. But that moment afforded me the ability to connect really with this idea that a wine comes from a specific place, not just California. I think before then it just Merlot came from California, Chardonnay came from Burgundy. I didn't really know what Burgundy was necessarily, but the idea that it came from a spot, a specific place, which is different than that other place, and it's formed. The difference is formed and informed by all these features of geophysiology and climate and people and everything. So that set me on a journey where I ended up. This would be my 24th harvest. So after that, I ended up initially working harvest in Washington State, and from there, New Zealand, where I spent several years, and then Tasmania, and then France, and then California. And after I came to California, to Napa, my friend and mentor, Philippe Melka, told me that if I really wanted to do well here, if I wanted to have a longevity, a robust career in Napa, I should learn Spanish. So I went to Chile to do a harvest, and I've since then I've been here for about 12 years.
Is it a ladder climb to get to Napa, or is it simply a matter of that opportunity came up at that time?
Yeah, funny enough, I actually swore to my wife. So we were living in New Zealand. We had gone on this wild goose chase to Tasmania and France. Really, Tasmania. I left New Zealand to go to Tasmania because I was interested in biodynamics, and really I was interested in disproving. Or proving to myself that this was in fact confabulation and crystal-based nonsense. And what I found was not that. I found a real respect and value for the principle. But while I was there, I met the child of a winemaker in France who then invited me to come to France to work there, which of course I had to do.
Yeah.
And the idea, my wife and I's idea, was to after that go back to New Zealand and stay forever. But my wife, being from SoCal, insisted that I get a harvest in California so she could visit her aging grandmother and other family. But I swore we would never live in California, especially Napa Valley. I regarded Napa as being the pinnacle of pomp and circumstance, and all the affectation and the things that I didn't identify with. And so it's by those means quite funny that I've ended up building a career here, and obviously why. The reality that I found is not even that disposition was inaccurate, but it was incomplete. What I found when I came here, much to my surprise and delight, is an actual, genuine, and sincere pursuit of, I don't want to say greatness, but a genuine pursuit to produce something, to produce things that are meaningful, things that are substantial, things that do search for a place in the sort of the greater cultural legacy and context, whatever that means. And that means different things to different people, and obviously that's a different debate to have. But I grew to find a real value for that and the opportunities that pursuit provides, because what that really means is capital.
Yes.
Right. And so I got to and still get to engage with farming and winemaking techniques and apparatus that is not necessarily standard worldwide, at least on this scale, which is quite small. One thing led to another. It just kind of kept going well, and I kept telling myself, okay, a few more years, and here we are now, almost 14 years later. I do love it here. I mean, it's a pretty great place to live.
Yeah, right.
It's expensive, but
yeah, right.
But it is cool. It's so to answer your question. I don't. For me, Napa was not in any way some peak of a mountain that I saw as the inevitable or the shining star, the city on a hill. But being here, I can understand in some ways why that might be the case for some people. Wasn't for me. It just turned out to be. It turned out to be that. I just didn't really know it at the time.
Yeah, I'm curious about Tasmania, though, because people like myself of a certain age always think of the Tasmanian devil. But more importantly, we think of a space that's rugged, extreme, and extreme.
Yeah,
and
it's those things.
Is that what you're?
For sure.
Yeah.
No, I mean Tasmania is beautiful, remote, beautiful. I'd say cold. I was working for a man named Stefano Lubiana, and I think the winery is called Stefano Lubiana. I don't recall precisely anymore, but it's just north of Hobart in the south of the island, somewhat remote, but the island in general is pretty far down there.
Yeah, right.
The history of the island is quite interesting. It was until, I don't remember the year, but I want to say in the early 1900s, actually called Van Diemen's Land. It was rebranded as Tasmania because Van Diemen's Land had such negative brand value, let's say. It was a place where some of the worst offenders from the penal colony of mainland Australia were then sent to, and has a history of an affected genocide of the Tasmanian Aborigines and these released prisoners who committed horrific violences around the island. So there's a certain history and intensity to the place that, at least in my mind, was very well matched with the sort of aesthetic qualities, which are extreme and wild and rugged and interesting. And really, I don't know how that relates to the wines, but the culture of the wine producers there is a pioneering one. They're largely aromatic whites, Pinot Noir, and sparkling producers. The sparkling wines were fantastic.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, so Tasmania was cool. I mean, I got the opportunity to drive and travel the island and hike and spent a lot of time. I was there for, I think 9 or 10 months. So it was fantastic. The people and the places. I mean, the people too. I've just been so kind of absurdly lucky. I don't deserve any of this, any position I've ever had. I mean, it really is just been a result of weird luck to meet the right people, and people like Stefano, and other people have been deeply informative to, obviously, anything that I carry in this profession now.
So when you came to Ehlers, there have been a lot of changes implemented by the previous winemaker. What kind of approach do you take to that when you have your own ideas, your own thoughts, what you want to implement?
Well, I think change for change's sake is probably not a particularly productive motivation. So especially when you're using someone else's resources or legacy or affecting the outcomes of other people's lives. So I don't now, and I've not had any inclination to make any change that is just based on making my own mark. That said, anything that I think could be furthered could be improved or carried on, continued, built upon. I mean, I think in general, it is probably a negative trait for not just people in societies, but also especially wine producers in wine culture to see themselves as somehow a terminus or an end point, the fullest and best manifestation of a thing. Like, we are just points in what is hopefully a great continuum. And I definitely try to see myself or anything that, I'm a part of as that. And so to that end, change should, sometimes it comes suddenly and quickly and dramatically, but by and large, where that's the case is based on, I think, pretty pointed needs or outcomes.
Sure.
I think in general, change should be, I have a joke, my political disposition is radical incrementalism. It's my dog drinking water here.
I was wondering what I was hearing in the background.
Yeah.
We do have a guest in the room. What's his name again?
Adrian.
Adrian, good name.
Yeah. So the changes, look, I mean, it takes some time to understand also the nature of what a thing is. We are a data point that stands against many other data points, which is society and the marketplace and culture. And so we change as the rest of the world changes. Measuring and balancing the measurement of those two elements from one another takes some time and some diligence, I think, observation. So, this question often comes in a different form, which is, what is your winemaking style? How are you going to change the wines? Which is kind of more focused in your question. But to start with that, I'll say that, I try not to have a style per se. I mean, if the location has a disposition, has a character that is of a definitive nature, then I'm going to hopefully find or understand or recognize that trait and then lean into the best of its qualities. It's maybe not dissimilar from having children, where you have your desires for who they might be, but they are what they are. They have the skills and the physical disposition or whatever it is they have. So then your job is hopefully, if in good parenting, to identify and optimize those traits. Help them be the best that they can, whatever that is. And so, if a site or a variety or a year is a lithe Ballerino, then we're going to lean into that. If it's an oafish Brut, then we're going to lean into that. And then figuring out kind of who each site is in my preferred language is who versus what, who they are, and then finding and understanding hopefully how we can lean into those strengths, and then how they might interact with each other, what are good or productive or interesting discourses between these entities, and what is not. And so that takes some time. But I mean, changes come. I mean, changes will come. I think the industry is also really at a I don't know if it's at a particularly or unprecedented moment. I think it's been precedented by several great catastrophes. I mean, obviously prohibition, phylloxera, international war, lack of technology. And there's been many convolutions in this industry as a tradition or a practice over millennia, of course. So, but we are, given our commercial scale, particularly sensitive, I think, at this moment to some of the signals we're receiving from culture and its evolutions at the moment regarding attention and interest in alcohol, and they're drugs of choice. So, I think now is a good moment to really listen quite closely. And what's the best version of us that intersects with what it is the present and the future might want from us?
For our listeners to come visit at Ehlers, is this strictly by appointment, or can people just belly on up? How does that work here?
I think it is principally by appointments. I know there are times where, if there's a slot that hasn't been filled or someone doesn't show up to, and you belly up at that moment, that tends to work out. So I think it's principally by appointment. I suggest that people make appointments.
Good idea. And more importantly, for our listeners to learn about you online, what is your website?
It is ehlersestate.com.
You came up with that. For a moment, I was worried. The look
I
in
know.
your face.
I don't know if I've ever actually typed it in before.
Well, that's kind of like your own phone number. Or,
For sure.
yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Adam, thanks for taking the time today. And even more so, thank you for introducing me to Adrian, because he's been a really good companion. He has been a good boy, as they say. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
It's funny he heard you say that. My pleasure. Thanks. He is a spoiled dog.